Translation. Now I shall chant one mantra, which is not only transcendental, pure, and auspicious, but is the best prayer for anyone who is aspiring to attain the ultimate goal of life. When I chant this mantra, please hear it carefully and attentively. Please repeat. Now I shall chant one mantra.
Now I shall chant one mantra,
which is not only transcendental, pure and auspicious, but is the best prayer for anyone who is aspiring to attain the ultimate goal of life. When I chant this mantra, please hear it carefully and attentively. Purport. The word viviktam is very significant. No one should think of the prayers recited by Lord Shiva as being sectarian. Rather, they are very confidential. So much so that anyone desiring the ultimate prosperity or auspicious goal of life must take the instructions of Lord Shiva and pray to and glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Lord Shiva himself did. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langaite girim yat kripa tamaham vande shi gurum dinatarinam paramananda madhavam shi chaitanya ishwaram. Chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva, text 31. Translation. Now I shall chant one mantra, which is not only transcendental, pure and auspicious, but is the best prayer for anyone who is aspiring to attain the ultimate goal of life. When I chant this mantra, please hear it carefully and attentively. Lord Shiva has made his appearance before the Prachetas, the sons of King Prachinabahi. I don't know, anyone knows any devotee who's been named Prachinabahi? Having appeared before them, Lord Shiva has promised them his benediction because he knows their intention is to perform austerity for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's been revealed that Lord Shiva, Vaishnava Namyata Shambhu, himself is the best of the Vaishnavas. And the Vaishnavas are always pleased to encourage, to support anyone who is aspiring to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is as simple as those that I love, I look around and I see those that love them too become dear to me. Love me, love my dog. It happens sometimes that we pretend to care for someone, but then it comes out when we show our neglect to the things that they care about or to the persons that they care about. Just like these family situations of stepmom, stepdad. There's always some horrific stories that come out, how the stepdad did this or the stepmom did this to me for so many years. Yet the other spouse was not aware, because in front of her or his beloved, oh, it was very nice, the kids, dealing with them sweetly, smiling. As soon as they are not there, it's fun time not for the children. So the devotee is always the well-wisher of the living entities. He's Suridam. He is the dear friend of every living being. Is the well-wisher of every living being. And so Lord Shiva, being pleased with the intention of the Prachetas to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is revealing himself before them. To get the darshan of an exalted personality like Lord Shiva is very rare. Many people perform different rituals, perform many austerities to try and get the darshan of Lord Shiva. Not so easy. So for them to have received his darshan was already an indication of success. When Lord Shiva had then guaranteed them his mercy, then now he is giving a further benediction that he will give them a mantra. So different austerities are there, different sacrifices are there performed in the Vedic scriptures. But it is said that for their success, they have to be accompanied by the chanting of the holy name. We look at the story of Dhruva, we touched on it previously. How Dhruva Maharaj, young boy, Kshatriya boy, was offended by his mother, stepmother. Just see. Stepmother didn't like that Dhruva was sitting on the king's lap, her husband. So after the husband had left, she told him, look, this thing of sitting on your father's lap can't go down in front of me. First you have to take another birth in my womb, then you can qualify to sit on your father's lap. So the boy was very offended, and in his anger he ran to his own mother, Suniti. His lips were trembling. Mother, I need to get into a position where they'll have to come to me with folded hands. He wanted a kingdom better than his own father's and even his grandfather's, Brahma. And the mother, being a Vaishnavi herself, said, well, when people want benedictions, they tend to go to the forest to try and find Lord Narayan. And from him, he's the giver of all benedictions. And the boy took that instruction and went to the forest. Narada Muni had heard about this. He always seems to turn up at the right place. Narada Muni is also one such desire-fulfilling tree. He likes to benedict those who are aspiring for bhakti. In fact, he himself is empowered to spread bhakti shakti. So he tried to discourage the boy. You're a young boy, you should be playing, enjoying life, sports and friends. What's this idea? Forest and tapasya. Give it up. And Dhruva was like, well, I know that you are a universal preacher and your words are from a good place, but they don't sit well in my heart. If you can't help me to achieve my desire, then get out of my way. And so Narada Muni was impressed with the determination of Dhruva. The Prachetas also have demonstrated this determination to perform tapasya. It is an important quality to be fixed on the goal, and no matter what comes, we keep our focus. Ekeha Kurunandana, one-pointed attention. So Narada Muni then, being pleased with Dhruva's determination, described to him meditation that he had to perform. And he described the beautiful form of the Lord, how he has lotus eyes, how he wears yellow dhoti, how he wears helmets. He's describing Narayan, 4 arms, the conch shell, the club, the disc, the lotus in his hands, how he has a mark of Srivatsa, and in this way whetting the appetite of Dhruva. We all are interested in beautiful things, and of all beautiful things, of all beautiful persons, the Supreme Lord is the most beautiful. Even the name Krishna means all attractive. That's why sometimes when persons claim to be God, then it's easy for the devotees to understand if that is true. We try to understand, is this personality all attractive? If they are not all attractive, then we doubt this claim to be God. So after describing what Dhruva would attain through this meditation, then he gave him the mantra, which would be the vehicle towards attaining this goal. So Abhideya is described, Sambandha is described, then Prayojana, the goal, is described. So he described what you will attain, and he gave the process how to attain it. And there he gave the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srila Prabhupada has written here that the word Viviktam is very significant. No one should think the prayers recited by Lord Shiva as being sectarian. Rather, they are very confidential. Mantras, it is said, have to be received from the bona fide disciplic line. It is said, mantras te no sampradaya vihinaye, mantras te nisvala mata. That if the mantra is not received in the bona fide sampradaya, there's 4 known bona fide sampradayas. One line comes from Brahma, one comes from Lord Shiva, one comes from the 4 Kumars, the other comes from Lakshmi Devi Shri Sampradaya. And that which is received through the Sampradaya then is empowered, authorized. Then it will give the fruit. And the mantra has to be received from the bona fide spiritual master, who has also received from his own spiritual master. Therefore we see Narada Muni appearing and giving a mantra to Dhruva so that his practice of Astanga Yoga is successful and bona fide. Without that mercy of the authorized Vaishnav, then we cannot on our own impress the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, the Lord is all merciful. He can give his kripa. It is said of perfection, there is those who are performing sadhana and those who also perfect their lives through kripa. But Srila Prabhupada gave a nice example that you cannot sit around and expect to perfect your life by kripa. That would be like not enrolling in the university and then expecting an honorary degree. Some people do get them, but generally they must have done some exceptional work in some field to be recognized like that. So Prabhupada said, work now, samadhi later. So we practice and we expect, patiently wait for the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So Lord Shiva will give them a mantra. We don't know what the mantra is, even though we could just read ahead. But staying on today's episode, we don't know the mantra, but we understand that he's going to give them a mantra. And this mantra is, he says, Japtavyam. It has to be chanted always. Gopakumar in the Brihad Bharatamrita also received the mantra from his spiritual master. And that Gopal mantra he had to chant, and by chanting that mantra, it was taking him to different destinations according to his desire, so that he could grow in his spiritual awareness. And ultimately, it took him all the way to the spiritual sky. So he had to chant it so that he stayed on course. It's described in some places, he was so overwhelmed with the beauty of that particular loka and the particular services that were being rendered to the Lord that he he kind of neglected his meditation. And when he remembered and he got back to it, then he was benedicted to understand that this was not the ultimate goal that his heart was yearning for. So protected by the mantra. Pavitram, that the mantra is very pure. Where do we find pure things in today's world? Purity is scarce. You may be a vegetarian, but you may walk past, I don't know here what they have, McDonald's or KFC, whatever it may be. And you know how they pump out all that air to catch unsuspecting people, to bring them in. So the air may be mixed in with all the particles of whatever animal. So, no pure air, no pure water. Pure thoughts, where are they? So Kali Yuga means contamination. But this mantra is considered to be very pure. Not only very pure, Mangalam, it is auspicious. In Kali Yuga, or the material world, is said to be an inauspicious place. So things that are pure are rare, and auspiciousness is difficult to find. The residents of Vrindavan, when Krishna and Balaram were in the arena where Kamsa had arranged that finally he would kill Krishna. Kamsa was very hopeful. He never gave up. That's also a determined person. We can learn from him determination. He was determined to kill Krishna, but that's impossible to do. Anyway, when he had those two wrestlers, Chanura and Mustika, they were huge like mountains, really ripped men. And these boys, they looked so tiny, so soft. The gopis were saying their bodies are as soft as butter. How are we here in such an inauspicious gathering? How can we be part of such an inauspicious event where such young boys are pitted against this like mountain-like wrestlers? So they could determine that when there's a desire to perform irreligious activities, it's not good to be part of that place. You should not be there. It's an inauspicious situation. Therefore, we come to temples, because in the temples, it is understood that the main activity is the glorification of Krishna, the pleasure of the Lord. So this is very auspicious. So such a mantra brings auspiciousness. Part of devotion is, first there's Klesha Ni and there's Subhada. When we perform devotional service, we feel that our miseries are being removed. If you can recall, rewind, especially your first 6 months to a year, didn't you feel like you just put a big bag of rocks down? Just like, finally something so nice. Kirtan, Prasadam, Bhagavatam, deities. You feel your life has left all that misery, and then you feel it's becoming auspicious. Even to wear your dhoti, you feel like some type of saint, You've got your tilak, you've got your sari on, and your beads, you don't eat just anything. You're looking at the labels. Auspiciousness. Param, it is transcendental. So distinguishing it from different types of material auspicious situations, that it is transcendental. It is beyond the influence of the material nature. It is said of Krishna's name that Nama Krishna Chintamani Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Puna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhina Tvam Nama Namino. That the name of Krishna is like Chintamani, it's like a touchstone. Touchstone is some mythical rock. If you find it, there's good fortune on you. That when you touch it on any piece of iron, it turns into gold. It reminds me of another story. Remind me, Will. A nice anecdote around Chintamani. Nam Chintamani Krishna. So Krishna's name is like Chintamani. And what is that metal that is to be changed into gold that is compared to our hearts? They can be very hard and cold. And so when the name enters the ear into the heart, it transforms the heart. Nam Chintamani Krishna. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. The name of Krishna, it is the form of all sweet, loving mellows. So in Krishna, all possibilities of sweetness and joy of loving relationship are present. Just like in a gulab jamun, wherever you bite, there will be some juice that comes out. It's about rasa. In Mayapur, we would get stuck at the Maha stall. They sell rasa malayam. So the Maha store opens just around Guru Puja. So, everyone will want to be good devotees and, serious devotees. And that is Guru Puja time, you go for Guru Puja. But the tongue had made a friend with this rasa and it's one of those sweets also. You just, and it's just like oozes all this juice. Eventually we were calling it rasa my life. So rasa, juice, flavor. Krishna's name is full of all the sweetest flavors. We are dry in this material world. Dry. Everything is kind of just, it's been done. And so we come to Krishna sort of crawling because it's just so dry. And so if we get access to the name, then that name, Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, Puna Shuddha Nitya Mukto, it is complete, it is pure Shuddha, and Nitya Mukta, it is eternally always liberated. So it's not a product of this world. Because we are stuck with the objects of the senses. Matter is not fulfilling us. We are spiritual beings, and therefore whatever we arrange materially will never hit the spot. It just won't happen. It'll do something momentarily, titillate our senses, and just hook us like a drug addict is hooked on that high. But it always has to come down, and when it comes down, it's worse. So, Krishna's name, Param. This is also now Lord Shiva whetting their appetite, just like Narada Muni described the beauty of the Lord in the heart to Dhruva before giving him his mantra. Also, Lord Shiva is letting them know that this mantra is Nishreya Sakaram, is very beneficial. And you should always chant it. So, I will speak it to you, but Shruyatam, please hear it carefully and attentively. So, a Brahmana, he worshipped Lord Shiva. I know what Lord Shiva is featuring. So he went to Lord Shiva. He wanted the best benediction. Please, Mahadev, you give me something wonderful. Lord Shiva said, well, you go to Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami has the best thing. So the Brahmana was happy. He went to Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami, Lord Shiva has told me that you have the most wonderful thing. And Sanatan Goswami said, yes, I have a touchstone. It is there just go there by the garbage then and take it. Or the Brahmana was happy, Sanatan Goswami. I didn't have to do too much. He grabbed his touchstone and he was already meditating on all the gold he was going to have. But because of contact with the exalted souls, it never goes in vain. It's a spiritual thing. It's a subtle thing. We may not know the impact of the contact that we have with Bhagavatam, with the devotees, we may not see. Sometimes even Harinam, we go out and we wonder, really what's it doing? Is it actually impacting anyone? So, because of contact with Lord Shiva, contact with Sanatana Goswami, when he got his touchstone and he was off to make gold and be happy, he was given some intelligence. Krishna says that I, sitting in their heart, destroy with the torchlight of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. And before that, he says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, I give them the knowledge by which they can come to me. So he thought, if that was the best thing that Sanatana Goswami has, now why is he keeping it by the trash? He must have something else. So for him, it was to get the best thing. He didn't really think much of it. He just thought, he's probably cheating me. He must have something better than this touchstone. So he went back. He said, Har Baba, why are you keeping this in the trash if it's the best thing you have? Sanatana Goswami said, well, I do have something else which is much better. Oh, the Brahmana was happy. Yes, I will score big time. Then he said, if you want it though, first take this touchstone and go throw it in the river. And then come back. So as he was going there, he's thinking, But anyway, Sanatana Goswami is not like a trickster type. He's a sadhu, His faith in Sanatana Goswami, he must be speaking the truth. So anyway, reluctantly he threw it away and he came back. So Sanatana Goswami said, okay, yes, now I will give you the best thing. And he sat him down to teach him how to chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And sometimes this Leela, when is told, devotees, even ourselves, we may check if at some point we think, this Brahmana got cheated. Do you feel like that? Like, he had the touchstone. Why was he greedy? Look, now he's only been given the Hare Krishna mantra. So that would be the material estimation. Because it's difficult to understand actually what is the benefit of this contact with Krishna. It seems like the world is moving, people are getting things, Sometimes your siblings and your neighbors, they have now a car, a house, a few bambinos, and they can show what they're doing in life. And you may just talk about, no, my chanting has improved. And people think like, okay, still stuck in your cult, and do something serious, something real, something tangible. So we want things we can touch and measure. That's the world we live in. Dimension, depth, weight. But the transcendental is also substance, but it's a different kind of substance. There was a story given by a devotee from Russia that he used to work in the military. His uncle used to work in the military, like 60s, 65 or so. And at that time, the Cold War was going on, spying, US, Russia, back and forth. And it came to their knowledge, Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai, Jai Gaurnitai. It came to their knowledge that actually war was imminent. 99.99999 that the war was coming. And so, although they are in the military, nobody really wants war, it's not a pleasant thing. So they were sitting there, and the different nuclear weapons were armed, and it was said that the war would start. And at the 11th hour, the message came, no, abort, stop everything. And so the devotee found out from his uncle, what day was this? And it so happened that on the day that Srila Prabhupada arrived in America, that was that very same day that this 99.999 certainty of war was cancelled. And so he understood that because the pure devotee had arrived there to spread the holy name, which was going to help the people of Kali Yuga, and Krishna had stopped the war. So it's nothing insignificant to meet a pure Vaishnava or these encounters with great souls, that it can even stop such great calamity as a big, huge war. So the idea that this is not sectarian, what he's going to give, is that the Lord and his name, or these mantras, what is mantra? Tra, it frees the mana, the mind. So the sound vibrations that free the mind, they don't belong to any particular sect. Every conditioned soul is struggling with their mind, and they need their mind to be released from the clutches of matter. And so Lord Shiva's mantra that he's going to give these prachetas is universal and it's applicable to all. It's not that like one other Muslim man in Pretoria at his shop, he saw me, oh, you're a Hindu. I said, not yet. He said, no, you believe in Krishna. I said, no, I don't believe in Krishna. What do you mean you don't believe in Krishna? I said, no, I worship Krishna. I don't just believe in him. Then he said, then I said to him, Salam Alaikum. And then he said, I can't say Salam Alaikum to you. Like he wouldn't respond. I said, why? He said, you are not a Muslim, so I can't say that to you. And I said, doesn't it mean peace be upon you? You don't want wish peace for me? No, you're not a Muslim, I can't say. But he was a less informed member. He was being sectarian and fanatical. Whereas peace should be wished upon any and everyone. Therefore also the name of God or the mantras of deliverance are not a sectarian consideration. They are, rather than being sectarian, Prabhupada says they are very confidential. So confidential means, as Lord Brahma says, I will give this knowledge of the Supreme Lord, but it is sarahasyam, and it should be understood, or it's only understood in conjunction with devotional service. So knowledge of God is not common knowledge or easily understood on the surface. It is confidential because it requires a certain type of consciousness to cultivate, to understand. So when I chant this mantra, please hear it carefully and attentively. So last but not least, it is that even after receiving, like we have received the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, or that when the prachetas receive the mantra that Shiva will give, it should be chanted always. Yes, it is pure, it is auspicious, it is very beneficial, but it should be heard and chanted attentively. And so we are reciting the 10 offenses, and it is said that the root of all the offenses is the inattention while chanting. Because Krishna has said, Yagyanam japa yagyosmi. Of all the yagyas, this japa, this chanting of the holy name is myself. I am that transcendental science of japa. So what is the yagya there? What is the sacrifice? The sacrifice is that our consciousness is always running into the material objects for our own personal pleasure. But when we chant japa, Okay.
The cameras on me.
Oh.
Sometimes it's not.
So when we chant japa, the sacrifice was being thrown into the fire. It's not some banana and grains. Now we were putting in the fire this desire to just run everywhere in terms of attention for sense enjoyment. Now we're offering our consciousness to the Lord, that we want to fully and attentively associate with Krishna through hearing his name. So this attentive chanting of any mantra is the root cause of success. Because what it is this. You are walking with your friends and say you start to go ahead, and one of your friends that is behind you calls you. What's your name, Prabhu?
Christian.
Christian, what do? You're running ahead in front of your friends and they call you from behind.
Turn around.
Yes, I was thinking, is that too hard? Yes, you turn around, yes? And then when you turn around, you find them just talking to each other. They don't say anything. You think that's awkward. You go again, Christian, you turn around, and no one says anything. If they call you again the third time, are you still going to turn around? No, you're annoyed. This is messing with you. It's not serious. So we are calling Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And then Krishna is taking note. And then where's our mind? Somewhere else. And we're not giving him that attention. But we are calling him, yet we are not home. I invite you to my house, but I'm not there. That's what you do to your enemy, just to spite them. You advertise a feast. Come at 12. We're having Raj Bhoga feast. And imagine you put that message out to the congregation. Invite them for Sunday feast, and then you lock the temple and there's no one. Big offense to the devotees. We came there, there's no one. So in a similar way, when we call Krishna's name and we are not attentive to receive Krishna through our hearing into our hearts, then it slows down our progress in chanting. So Lord Shiva has given them preparation of the gift he will give by form of mantra. They're receiving it from a bona fide devotee. He is giving the instructions on how to practice the mantra. And Srila Prabhupada is saying that anyone who's desiring ultimate prosperity or auspicious goal of life must take the instructions of Lord Shiva and pray to and glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Lord Shiva himself did. So Lord Shiva here is the Acharya. By his activities of worshipping the Supreme Lord, we are to take his example. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande, Hare Krishna.